Uh, Major seventh, diminished eighth. Uh, Diminished fifth, augmented fourth. Major third, diminished fourth. Easy lah. Major second. Ni major second ni. Ni confirm major second. No. Diminished third. Okay, when it comes to theory and when it comes to practice, okay, these two, it correlates, but sometimes whatever you learn in theory, the practice is kind of different. And it can lead to some sort of confusion lah. So, especially when it comes to what you see on paper. In music sometimes, or many times, if you read it, if you analyze it on paper, it's going to be like this. If you're hearing it, it's going to be like that. It's going to be a different thing. What do I mean? Okay, let's look at my next paper. This is what I mean. This relates to the topic of intervals. Yeah. Now, look at the very first example at the top. I wrote there the C and the C flat interval, and then you have the C and the B. Listen to the same notes. I want you to listen to the interval, yeah? Yep. This is what you hear. Now, when you hear this in an exam, you're not going to say, oh, cikgu, that sounds like a diminished eighth or diminished octave. You probably get a kasut lah. You know, a shoe will be flying in your face. Normally, and naturally, people will say, oh, that sounds like a major seventh. Yeah? It is the same note. So what I'm saying is this, you know, on paper, if you see a C and a C flat interval, in theory, if you say it's a major seventh, then it's wrong. Because it is a C and a C flat. C and a C is an octave. So if you have a C and a C flat, so what is smaller than an octave? An octave is a perfect interval. What is smaller than an octave? A smaller than an octave is a diminished interval. So the right answer, if you see on paper, the answer would be a diminished eighth. But if you play a C and a C flat, if you actually play a C and a C flat, it doesn't tell you immediately it's a diminished eighth. That takes quite a while for you to figure out lah. You immediately say, oh, that's a major seventh. Yeah? And when you see on paper C and a B, it is obviously a major seventh. Okay? Now, look at the second example, diminished fifth versus augmented fourth, or sharp 11. Okay, we'll get to the sharp 11 shortly, yeah? Okay, a diminished fifth, look at this, the example, a G and a D flat. So a G and a D is a perfect fifth, okay? When you close the interval, that means when the interval gets smaller, it becomes a diminished interval. So a G and a D flat becomes a diminished fifth. Look at the note beside it, it's a G and a C sharp. Yeah? So G and the C naturally is a perfect fourth. But when you raise the C to become a C sharp, it becomes an augmented fourth. Now, why do I say sharp 11? Well, I think it's, if I may say, it's a bit more, a more liberal, a more loose terminology lah. When I hear that, oh, that sounds like a sharp 11 interval. Because of a fourth and an octave is considered an 11th, and when you hear that, I always refer to that kind of sound to a tension sharp 11. Okay, we'll get to that much later. That is loosely used, but the correct one would be an augmented fourth. Yeah. So again, I will play for you the example. This is a G and a D flat. Sorry about that. This is a G and a C sharp. It's obviously the same, kan? You see on paper is obviously two different notes, G and a D flat, G and a C sharp. But when you actually play it on a piano, it sounds exactly the same. So in your exam, you know, in your ear training exam, when your teacher says, what does it sound like? Oh, that sounds like a diminished fifth. Okay, you're not wrong. Oh no, it's actually an augmented fourth. Yelah, dua-dua betul lah tu. Okay. It sounds like a sharp 11, cikgu. Pun betul juga. Okay. Similarly, the one underneath, we have a C and an F flat. C and an F flat. Come on, F flat. What is the enharmonic spelling of an F flat? It's actually an E, right? But on paper, if you say it's a major third, C and F flat is a major third, it's wrong lah. You analyze C and F flat as a diminished fourth. Why? Because perfect diminished, kalau dikecilkan, if you bring down, yeah, if you flattened a diminished interval, if you flatten a perfect interval, it becomes a diminished interval. So it becomes a diminished fourth. Yeah, but if you see, that's the next one is a major third, C and E. That's a major third, obviously. So C and F flat. Where is F flat? This is F flat, and this is C. So when you hear this, some expert in the class will tell you, "Cikgu, that's a diminished fourth." If I'm the teacher, I'll go like, "Okay, show off." Yeah. It could even be a wrong answer, but if you want to tunjuk power lah, okay, cikgu is a diminished fourth. Tak payahlah susah-susah. Benda yang senang, kita senangkan. Tak payahlah nak merepek, kan? So, you have a major third. Right? Okay, last example there. Diminished third and a major second. Look at that. B and D flat. Here is a B, and this is a D flat. It obviously sounds a major second, right? So, versus B and the C sharp. So, there you go. If you analyze it on paper, of course, it has to be, in theory, your answer, your analyzation, if that's a word, has to be based on what you see on paper. Yeah, but if you play the actual notes, if you play the actual intervals, sometimes it doesn't sound, or there's no sound as, it doesn't sound like, there's no special sound of a diminished eighth. Tak ada pun. Sounds actually a major seven. Yeah, this, and then it sounds, diminished fifth, augmented fourth. It's kind of the same thing when you actually play it. Yeah, similarly, or diminished fourth. On paper, it has to be diminished fourth. You cannot answer it as a major third. But when you play it on the piano, sorry about that, it sounds like a major third. Obviously a major third, and no one is going to answer it as a diminished fourth. You do that, then you get a flying shoe or flying pencil or anything that can fly. Yeah? So that is what I'm talking about today. That is about theory versus practice. Okay? This is especially in relation to the topic of intervals. Yeah? So I think I've covered nearly everything about intervals. If I've missed anything, please do let me know. I hope you guys have enjoyed this lesson, and I hope to see you guys again soon. Take care and have a nice day, guys. Bye-bye. Hey guys, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from it. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Meanwhile, please like my video, please subscribe to my channel, and happy learning. Take care.